Duncan Hines was a traveling salesman who was born in Bowling Green, Kentucky in 1880. He moved to Chicago in 1905 to start his career as a traveling salesman, and he went door to door all across America selling printer services. Along the way, he gained a love of travel and food. So in 1935, he created a list of 167 of his favorite restaurants in America, and he sent that out to all of his people on his Christmas list. It was just supposed to be a Christmas gift and a recommendation for where they wanted to travel. But soon thereafter, a lot of people started writing him and asking him for a copy of that pamphlet. So, being the businessman he was, he created it in a book, and he published his first book called Adventures in Good Eating. And people started to really recognize that he had high quality standards, and the restaurants that he recommended were actually good restaurants. So he became really popular, and he wrote 2 more books, Lodging for a Night and The Vacation Guide, which laid out where to vacation and where to stay while you're on vacation. And he became really famous and became like a household name as somebody who was really trusted in what he recommended. In 1939, at the height of his book's popularities, he moved back to Bowling Green to be around his sister and other family, and he stayed here for the rest of his life. But he was a traveling salesman, so he didn't really stay here, he just lived here. In the 1940s, supermarkets became really popular, and they had kind of replaced the mom and pop shops. So along with that came more processed goods. A lot of these processed goods that were made by big companies were non-perishables that could have a long shelf life. But Duncan decided to create his own brand. He knew that his name was a household name now, so he figured he would be successful, and he was. And so the first thing he created was ice cream, which kind of broke the mold because at the time, no big company made ice cream. It was local companies that made the ice cream. It was really popular, and so then he decided to expand his brand into mixes. So he created cake mixes, cookie mixes, brownie mixes. If it was a mix, Duncan Hines made it and he put his name on it. But he had a high quality of standards, so he made sure that anything he put his name on, it was his name. So he made sure it was a high quality. His cake mixes stood out at the time because he called for a real egg. Most of the companies at the time were calling for powdered and dry eggs, but Duncan swore that it would make the cake lighter and fluffier and taste better if you had a real egg. So once his brand was really popular, he decided that he was going to create even more things under the Duncan Hines name, things like kitchen utensils. So he created mixing bowls and cookie cutters and veggie choppers. Pretty much, if you could use it in the kitchen to cook his things, he put his name on it, he put his seal of approval on it. And that was also widely popular. So he was still a traveling salesman though, so he went all across America. He traveled about 60,000 miles a year for 28 years, going around and advertising his brand. And he went on talk shows and radio programs, anything to get the word out and to put a face to the name. So by post-World War II, outdoor living spaces became really popular, and once again he saw the opportunity for business and he took it. So Duncan created 12 different types of grills, a type for every type of person, big ones and small ones and all different types of grills. And then once those became popular, then he created grilling spices, grilling utensils. Pretty much if it was an outdoor grilling, you could grill with it, Duncan Hines put his name on it as well. Again, always keeping that high standard of quality. Now we're going to move to the kitchen area. This kitchen is really cool because it has a lot of the pieces from his actual home since he lived here in Bowling Green. So things like the ice bucket and the warming oven, this tray, the mixing bowl, the cooking spices, and the cookbooks, these were all actually used by Duncan Hines. They weren't necessarily Duncan Hines products, but they were used by Duncan Hines. And you might notice in the kitchen there are all these weird little ceramic pigs. Duncan Hines collected them, and he would have all of his friends and family they would all send him ceramic pigs, and he just decorated his house and his kitchen with them. So he was kind of quirky, but he liked the idea of the ceramic pigs, so he filled his kitchen with them. So if you want to look more around the exhibit, you can. If you have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, we'll move on to the third floor.